Imagine handing the keys to a fleet of AI-powered supercars to a workforce, only to realize that half the driving instructors are retiring tomorrow.
Right.
And on top of that, $285 billion worth of highway infrastructure is just crumbling right beneath the
Yeah,
tires.
that's the reality of it.
It is. That is the exact crisis we are staring down today. So if you are paying attention to the tech and education space, today, May 21, 2026 is, well, it's a date you should probably circle in red marker.
Absolutely. It definitely feels like the ground under the traditional workforce is just, fracturing. We're moving past all that theoretical hype of artificial intelligence and hitting a very hard, very expensive wall of real-world application.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We are tearing into a brand new, hot off the press white paper and product specification that just dropped from EON AI Ventures.
Yep, just came out.
The document is called EON Marketplace, Bridging Knowledge and Venture Ecosystems. And our mission today really is to explore what they are pitching as a massive structural shift in how we learn, how we build, and how we actually make money in this so-called intelligence revolution.
Which is, it's huge.
It's massive. We are looking at a system designed to solve that widening gap between incredibly powerful AI models and the complete lack of actual enterprise readiness out in the wild.
And that right there is the defining tension right now. We have access to more computing power and generative capability than at any point in human history, right?
Right.
But actually deploying it in a way that creates measurable, trustworthy outcomes for institutions, that is proving to be a complete logistical nightmare.
Okay, let's unpack this, because to understand why EON AI Ventures built this new marketplace architecture in the first place, we really have to look at the terrifying math of the current workforce crisis.
Oh, the numbers they're brutal.
They are staggering. Walk us through what the white paper actually says about this.
So the document outlines this dual crisis that's essentially squeezing the global economy from both sides at once. First, you have an unprecedented human capital drain.
Okay.
The data indicates that nearly 50% of current high-level experts in the workforce, 50%, are expected to retire within the next 5 to 7 years.
Wait, half? Like half the experts are just gone in less than a decade?
Gone. They're leaving, and they were taking decades of highly contextual, localized institutional knowledge right out the door with them.
Wow.
And, this isn't the kind of knowledge you can just pull from a standard training manual or like a generic large language model. We're talking about the applied wisdom of how complex systems actually function.
Like on the factory floor, or?
Exactly. On the factory floor, in a hospital ward, on the power grid, all those little quirks of the job.
Yeah.
And while that talent is walking out the front door, the second part of the crisis is happening down in the server room.
Right, the tech side.
Yes. The report cites a global sell-off of $285 billion in ready-built enterprise solutions.
Hold on, $285 billion. Why is $250 billion in tech just being dumped? That sounds insane.
Because it's turning into stranded assets. These are software solutions and digital infrastructures built over, say, the last few years that are suddenly becoming totally obsolete.
Ah, I see.
They're failing because they can't integrate with the new AI-driven workflows, and they can't adapt to the rapidly changing requirements of a workforce that's, rapidly losing its senior operators.
So the old tech can't talk to the new tech, and the people who knew how to bridge the gap are retiring.
Exactly. It's a perfect storm.
Okay, so to go back to my earlier thought, it's like we're handing the keys to a fleet of AI Ferraris to a workforce.
Yeah.
But half the driving instructors are retiring tomorrow, and $285 billion worth of highway infrastructure is crumbling.
That's a really good way to visualize it, yeah.
But I have to push back here for a second.
Sure.
We have had corporate training portals, massive open online courses, and specialized coding boot camps for, well over a decade now?
Oh, easily, yeah.
And they were all designed to link learning to jobs. So why is this specific collision of brain drain and obsolete tech forcing a totally new model? Why can't corporations just use existing online universities to train new people faster?
Right. Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, traditional learning platforms are fundamentally mismatched for the speed and the demands of this specific technological shift.
Mismatched how?
Well, think about what traditional platforms give you. They give you a certification. You watch a series of videos. You pass a multiple choice test, and you get a piece of paper that says you comprehend a topic.
Right, you get the certificate.
But that credential rarely translates to immediate enterprise readiness. It certainly doesn't ensure you can actually monetize those skills the second you log off.
Yeah, you get the certificate, but you still have to wander out into the job market and figure out how to apply a theoretical concept to a messy, real-world business problem.
And that latency, that gap between learning and doing, is what businesses can no longer afford. Because, look, while AI has vastly accelerated our ability to generate knowledge—
Right, we can synthesize courses and tutorials in seconds now.
Exactly. But AI has largely failed at distribution and deployment in high-stakes environments. A generic consumer chatbot just cannot provide the structured incentives, the compliance tracking, and the measurable outcomes that a global enterprise desperately needs.
And not before they let someone touch their live systems anyway.
Right. They need institutional trust.
So the crisis isn't a lack of information then. We're drowning in information. The crisis is the broken bridge between acquiring a skill and actually deploying it into the economy.
Precisely.
And I guess that brings us to the core architecture that EON AI Ventures is launching today. Because traditional certification platforms are failing to bridge that gap, EON has engineered a completely different approach.
Yes, they're calling it a dual storefront economic engine.
Dual storefront, okay.
Yeah, this is where the product specification really shifts from being just a learning tool to an entirely new kind of infrastructure. They're dividing this ecosystem into two deeply interconnected storefronts: the knowledge marketplace and the venture marketplace.
Let's break down the mechanics of those, starting with the knowledge marketplace. According to the white paper, this sits inside their global virtual campus, the GVC, and a platform called Oh Wow Skills.
Right.
And this is where universities and institutions publish their certified learning programs. But reading through this, it doesn't sound like a standard video lecture.
No, not at all.
The paper heavily features something called brainy AI mentoring and immersive tech. What is brainy AI doing that a normal tutorial doesn't? Are we just talking about a chatbot attached to a PDF here?
No, the mechanism here is crucial to understand. Brainy AI functions as a context-aware spatial mentor.
Spatial mentor. Okay, what does that look like?
Well, when a student is learning a complex procedure, let's say, repairing a specific industrial turbine, brainy AI isn't just answering text questions. Because EON integrates immersive extended reality technology, the AI is literally tracking the student's spatial movements.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it tracks their decision trees, their sequence of operations in a virtual 3D environment. It provides real-time, context-specific corrections, just like a human supervisor would if they were standing right over your shoulder.
So the AI actually sees what you are doing wrong in a 3D space and redirects you before you build a bad habit.
Exactly.
That is a massive leap from just clicking A, B, C, or D on a web quiz.
It's night and day.
And the moat they have built around this is huge. The document notes they already have over 9,000 of these courses across a dozen industry verticals.
Which is wild. Having that foundational library ready on day one is a significant advantage. They aren't trying to build the marketplace and the inventory at the exact same time.
Right. They already have the content.
But here's the thing. The knowledge marketplace is only the input. It is just the training ground. The actual output happens in the second storefront, the venture marketplace.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
The venture marketplace is integrated with a platform called Oh Wow Earn. And the paper says this provides pre-built applications and business-in-a-box solutions created through a venture builder pipeline.
That's the terminology they use, yeah.
So I read this a few times, and the best analogy I can come up with is the knowledge marketplace is like the university, but the venture marketplace is like the university handing you a fully operational franchised business on your way out the door, with the bank and the analytics already running in the basement.
That analogy hits the mark perfectly, actually, because it really captures the turnkey nature of the system. You aren't just graduating with a credential, you are graduating with a deployable asset.
But how does that actually work mechanically? I mean, does the AI just write a bunch of code and say, here's your business, good luck?
Not quite. The venture builder pipeline essentially packages modular, pre-vetted AI applications. So let's say you just completed a certified course in the knowledge marketplace on managing digital twins for logistics warehouses.
Okay, a very specific high-tech skill.
Right. When you move to the venture marketplace, the venture builder has already assembled an application for that.
Really?
Yes, complete with the user interface, the API connections to standard warehouse sensors, the payment gateways. It's a templated software solution. Your newly certified expertise is what allows you to customize it and manage it for a specific real-world client.
And the invisible plumbing, making sure the student learning the skill is seamlessly connected to the business application they are about to run, is what they call the unified backend.
Exactly.
But exactly how does this backend keep the two storefronts from just feeling like two different websites duct taped together?
By centralizing all the core functions, the unified backend handles all the payments, the user analytics, the discovery algorithms, and the quality assurance for both sides simultaneously.
So it's one brain running both storefronts.
Yes, it creates a closed-loop economy. EON refers to this as the learn, build, sell, earn cycle.
Learn, build, sell, earn.
Right. You learn the certified skill on the knowledge side, you adapt the pre-built solution on the venture side, you sell that enterprise-ready application to a client who needs it, and you earn revenue, all managed by the exact same underlying infrastructure.
But how does the system know what pre-built businesses to put in the venture marketplace in the first place? I mean, how does a student know they aren't spending weeks learning a skill that no one wants to buy?
And that is the most critical function of this whole architecture. The unified backend drives what they call a cross-marketplace feedback loop.
Okay, a feedback loop.
It works as a real-time data exchange. So if a large healthcare network starts searching the venture marketplace for spatial computing applications to, say, train nurses on a new MRI machine.
The system registers that spike in demand?
Yes. It sees the money waiting to be spent.
Mm-hmm.
And it immediately feeds that demand data back to the knowledge marketplace.
Oh, wow.
Then the discovery algorithms prioritize and surface the specific certified courses required to operate those MRI training apps. It signals to the users, hey, learn this right now because there is an immediate economic opportunity waiting on the other side.
That completely removes the guesswork from upskilling.
It really does.
It's like a live wire connecting the classroom directly to the boardroom. The data-driven feedback loop ensures you are learning exactly what is required to deploy the solutions that are currently in demand.
Right. No more learning in a vacuum.
Okay, but building a dual marketplace that functions as a self-contained economic engine is a massive undertaking.
Oh, absolutely.
But pushing it into global institutions, universities, and Fortune 500 companies is another beast entirely. I mean, big institutions are notoriously slow, and the white paper outlines a very aggressive timeline for deployment, which frankly, raises some red flags for me.
The ambition of the rollout is certainly tied to the pedigree of the company. Look, EON AI Ventures wasn't just spun up yesterday. They were founded by the leadership team behind EON Reality, which brings 25 years of experience in immersive learning and extended reality solutions.
I understand they have the resume, but why does a 25-year history in XR matter for an AI deployment? Couldn't any top-tier AI lab build this?
The differentiator here is precision. Generic AI models, the kind that, write your emails or generate marketing copy,
Yeah.
they're probabilistic.
Right, they guess the next best word.
Exactly, they guess. And that is fine for a rough draft, but EON is building for high-precision, zero-tolerance environments.
Like what?
Aviation maintenance, advanced manufacturing, surgical prep. In those fields, a generic AI hallucination isn't just an inconvenience, it's a catastrophe.
Yeah, you don't want the AI hallucinating while you're fixing a jet engine.
Exactly. EON's background in spatial computing means they understand how to ground AI in exact physical realities and strict compliance frameworks.
You cannot use a creative writing chatbot to train a technician on a commercial jet. You need high-precision, outcome-driven systems. But okay, even with that precision, I still have to challenge this 12-week rollout plan they published.
Fair enough, it's fast.
They are breaking it into 3 sprints. Weeks 1 through 4 are the foundation sprint for core infrastructure. Weeks 5 through 8 are for quality and scale to vet the content. And weeks 9 through 12 are for network effects, turning on those feedback loops we just talked about.
Right.
In most hospitals or universities, it takes 4 weeks just to get the IT department to approve a new email client.
True.
So how are they bypassing that kind of institutional friction to install an entire dual marketplace in 3 months?
It is an incredibly compressed timeline, I'll give you that.
Mm-hmm.
But the strategy relies on the fact that this is a turnkey ecosystem, not a disjointed set of custom tools.
Okay.
During that first 4-week foundation sprint, they aren't rewriting the institution's legacy software. They were just establishing API bridges to the EON backend.
Ah, so they aren't tearing down the old walls.
Right. And then the heavy lifting of the quality and scale phase, weeks 5 through 8, is managed by EON's existing AI vetting systems. The institution doesn't have to manually review every single application. The platform's unified backend automatically checks the new learning modules and venture apps against established compliance protocols.
So they are essentially dropping in a fully furnished, pre-inspected house rather than dropping off a pile of lumber and asking the university's IT team to build it from scratch.
Exactly. It's ready to go.
You know, there is a phrase in the product specification detailing this rollout that really caught my attention. It says the ultimate goal of this rapid deployment is to establish institutional lock-in during the critical centaur phase.
Ah, yes. The centaur phase.
I love the imagery of a centaur, half human, half horse. But in tech, it usually refers to a hybrid of human and AI. What exactly does it mean to establish institutional lock-in during a centaur phase? It almost sounds like a defensive maneuver.
What's fascinating here is that EON explicitly refers to this as the centaur defense.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The centaur phase is the specific transitional era we are living in right this very second. AI is incredibly powerful, but it is not entirely autonomous in complex physical environments yet.
Right. It can't physically turn a wrench.
Exactly. It still requires a human expert to provide context, validate decisions, and physically execute tasks. Human plus AI acting as one cohesive unit, the centaur.
Okay, so like the veteran aviation mechanic using brainy AI to diagnose a problem faster, but how does that create institutional lock-in? And tying it back, how does it solve that massive brain drain we talked about at the top of the deep dive?
By capturing the mechanic's knowledge before they hand in their retirement papers.
Oh.
Think about it. If a company waits until that 60-year-old veteran retires, the contextual knowledge of how to fix that specific engine is just gone forever. The Centaur defense is about getting that veteran expert working inside the EON ecosystem today.
But how? How does the software actually extract what is inside the mechanic's head?
Through that immersive XR environment we discussed earlier.
Oh, the spatial tracking.
Yes. When the human expert uses the platform to solve a problem or to train a junior employee, the system is recording all of it. The spatial data, the decision trees, the visual focus points, the verbal commands. It maps the human intuition into a machine-replicable model.
That is wild.
The AI is learning the precision and the context directly from the human. So by adopting this marketplace now, the institution effectively locks its proprietary localized knowledge into the platform forever.
The platform digitizes the veteran's instincts, so even after they retire, their workflow and their specific troubleshooting methods live on inside the brainy AI mentor for the next generation of students.
Exactly.
That completely reframes the value of the software. It's not just a tool, it's a knowledge preservation system.
Dale Ajurskar, the chairman of EON AI Ventures, actually provided a quote in the announcement that summarizes the necessity of this shift perfectly.
What did he say?
He stated, "The EON marketplace represents a pivotal shift in our mission from being a product company to driving an ecosystem that fuels measurable outcomes across industries and geographies."
Moving from a product to an ecosystem. That makes a lot of sense now.
It is a matter of survival in the intelligence revolution. A static product, no matter how advanced it is today, will eventually end up in that $285 billion pile of obsolete technology.
Because it can't adapt.
Right. It cannot adapt to changing enterprise demands. An ecosystem, driven by a live data matching feedback loop, evolves continuously. Ajurskar points out that by embedding the credentialing directly into a shared economic engine, they are ensuring that individuals and institutions don't just prepare for the future of work, they actively thrive and monetize within it.
So what does this all mean for you listening to this right now? Whether you are a university student trying to map out a career, an entrepreneur looking for an edge, or an executive staring down a tidal wave of senior staff retirements, the core takeaway from this EON AI Ventures drop is undeniable.
It really is.
Upskilling is no longer just about acquiring a standalone certificate to stick on a resume. The era of learning something in a vacuum and simply hoping the free market eventually rewards you is ending. Today, learning is about plugging your credentialed knowledge directly into a real-world economic engine. It's about the immediate, frictionless translation of a newly acquired skill into a deployable, revenue-generating asset.
And, taking that a step further, this architecture forces a really profound question about the future of the workforce itself.
Where are you going with this?
Well, if we are entering an era where your education comes seamlessly packaged with a deployable AI-powered business in a box, what happens to the traditional definition of an employee?
Oh, wow. That is a massive paradigm shift.
It is. If the EON marketplace functions at scale the way the architecture intends, we might be witnessing the end of standard corporate employment as the default career path.
Because you don't need a massive company to deploy your skills anymore.
Exactly. If any individual can learn a highly technical certified skill, immediately access a pre-built venture application, and deploy that solution directly into the market with built-in monetization infrastructure.
Why work for someone else?
Right. Are we all transitioning away from being standard workers who just rent our time to a single employer? Are we instead becoming independent, self-monetizing nodes in a much larger decentralized enterprise network? This model fundamentally shifts the balance of capability and economic power from the traditional corporation down to the AI-empowered individual.
That is an incredible thought to sit with. You aren't just applying for a job anymore. You are deploying a capability. We went from talking about crumbling highway infrastructure and retiring driving instructors to a future where everyone has the tools to build and monetize their own roads.
That's quite the leap.
It really is. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the EON marketplace. Keep questioning the evolving world around you. Keep looking for those real-world applications, and we will catch you next time.